everybody that he will come in. Yes.
Next to you. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're starting now. Thank you for being here today. The canvassing board is convened. Myself, Judge Victoria Ferrer, as chair of the canvassing board.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Elena Abreu, also Judge, County Court.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Christina White, Supervisor of Elections.
All right, and it is November 5th, 2020. The time is 5:12 p.m. Warren?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. A couple of things. First of all, as you can see by the increased interest in this process, there is one race that, pending the final determination of provisional ballots and signature affidavits, may go into a recount. I would suggest that we set aside some time tomorrow when we're canvassing the signature affidavits to talk about the recount procedures and how we're going to conduct the recount. We've got a lot of questions from the parties, and I'll have some recommendations for that as we get close and see where the recount's going to be. But I'm announcing that now so that both the canvassing board can be prepared to discuss it tomorrow, and the individual candidates in the respective political parties should be prepared to discuss it tomorrow to the extent they have any opinions. I've had contact with those parties already, and I have informed them that we intend to proceed to the extent there is a machine or manual recount with the same procedures we used for our very successful 2018 recounts that I know Your Honor has been a part of. I don't anticipate there being any objections to my conversations, but I think the time to talk about that would be best used tomorrow.
Okay.
So just for everybody in the audience, so you know that's going to be going on. Secondly, and Christina may want to discuss this particularly, you see some activity back there. I just want to let you know what's going on.
Yes, so judges, just so you know, and also for the observers, these boxes here, these are preparatory measures to be ready for the recount. You know, we've had record turnout, and so we need to be ready for it. And so what's happening here in the tabulation room is that we are actually sorting out the page ones, which is where the race appears, from the page twos, so that when we start the recount, it'll be much smoother. The larger effort, the one that's more complicated, is actually fishing out the ballots that we need from early voting. Because again, 515,000 people voting, anybody can go to any one of the sites, all the ballots are commingled, and so we have to then go in and pull out the specific page ones for the precincts that are applicable to the recount. So we're going to be doing that between today until we're done. And I believe we're going to start it on Tuesday. So that's my preliminary call, but we'll talk in more detail tomorrow, but just for your planning purposes.
Sure, yeah.
I think that's when it'll start.
Tuesday, 10 a.m.
Sounds good. Okay.
For now,
Preliminarily,
yeah.
but I need to, see our progress. Wait for the Secretary of State to call the recounts. It's the Senate race. They call it, not us. So there are a few things that we're going to be working out over the next few days. Just telling you that for your calendar purposes.
My calendar's ready.
Okay. So back to our activity today. Today we're going to be going through provisional ballots. The ballots are not here yet because we've got, I understand from the supervisor that we've received a number of timely submissions of evidence. And so those ballots need to be pulled out of the categories we put them in and put into categories that we've gotten evidence submitted on so we can properly advise you. I'm going to go through in the meantime what we're going to be doing today and the law that governs what we're going to be doing today. It's in 101048. Florida statutes, and if you pull your statute book, it's going to be on page 51. So the canvass of provisional ballots is a little different than the canvass of the other ballots that we've done. The provisional ballot under the statute is used when a voter is claiming to be properly registered in the state and eligible to vote at the precinct in the election, and we cannot determine the eligibility, or we determine that they are ineligible at the spot. In those cases, they're entitled upon request to vote a provisional ballot. And so those come in a number of categories. For example, if they claim to be registered and they're not registered, that's a category that they're going to vote a provisional ballot. If they claim to have never voted and we have a record that they have voted, they'll vote a provisional ballot. Once they do that, it's up to this county canvassing board to wait until Thursday at 5 p.m., allow the voter to submit any additional written evidence, and then make a determination as to whether that voter was entitled to vote that ballot by registration and by qualification, and whether that voter is entitled to vote that precinct by registration and qualification, and whether that voter has voted before. The statute provides what information you should consider in making this determination. The statute says the canvassing board shall review the information provided in the voter certificate and affirmation, any written evidence provided by the person pursuant to subsection 1, information provided in any cure affidavit and accompanying supporting documents pursuant to subsection 6, and any other evidence presented by the supervisor, and in the case of a challenge, any evidence presented by the challenger. The evidence comes in and is finalized at 5 o'clock today, which is about 17 minutes ago. And so the supervisor right now, her staff is collating that evidence and is preparing to present them to you. Importantly, the standard upon which you consider that evidence is this: the ballot shall be canvassed and accepted unless the canvassing board determines by a preponderance of the evidence that the person was not entitled to vote. So the standard is preponderance of the evidence that the person is not entitled to vote. If you see by a preponderance of the evidence that the person is not entitled to vote, you should reject that ballot. If the ballot is signed, this ballot matches, and whatever the defect that was identified, you determine does not meet that evidentiary standard, you are to accept that ballot. There will be some categories that you see that can be summarily rejected. For example, if somebody claims to have been registered and we don't have any registration records, the staff has looked for the registration records, the staff has not found any registration records, and the voter has not come in and provided any written evidence, there is nothing that can be done to cure that. And I believe this canvassing board can deal with those in one summary vote, or they can look at them all at once. There are some categories that I'm going to recommend that you look at each individual ballot, because the evidence in those ballots will all be different. But when they come down, we can go over those individually. So that is, I view, as the legal processes for this analysis. If you have any questions, we can ask them. If not, we can go off record until the time at which the ballots are brought down.
Standing lies solely on the voter, correct?
Standing lies solely on the voter, but if you want to hear arguments or objections, you can, but the evidence that's presented is the evidence by the voter. And that evidence is closed as of 5 o'clock.
Is there any case law with regards to standing?
Not that I am aware of. There's case law regarding the precincts. That's the AFL-CIO case that we talked about, was specifically about 101-048 and how you should view it as 101-045. But essentially, you're looking for whether or not the voter is entitled to vote, whether the voter has voted before, and whether the signature matches.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any questions? No questions? Okay. All right. Take a break. So we can be ready.
How long do you want to be?
I'll check in with them, but we did have people coming in like right up against 5, which is why they're compiling the information for us. So 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Okay.
So we will reconvene. The time is now 10:20, I believe. 5:20. 5:20. I'm sorry. 5:20. I'm looking at the 10 over here. 5:20. Let's say 5:45, 5:35, 5:35. All right. We'll be back at 5:35. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is now November 5th, 2020. The time is 5:46. The board has reconvened. We have number of valid ballots, 190. Number of presumed invalid ballots, 1,044. Total number of ballots, 1,234. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Presumed valid, 190. Presumed invalid, did not sign provisional, 16. Presumed invalid, not registered, 522. Presumed invalid, registered after book closing, 384. Presumed invalid, signature does not match, 3. Presumed invalid, voter already, 94. Presumed invalid, wrong precinct, 25, for a total amount of 1,234.
Your Honor?
Yes.
On these categories, if I can just go down the categories and provide my advice how to proceed, it's obviously within the canvassing board's discretion.
Yes, sir.
For the presumed ballot category, these are ballots that had some defect that was apparent at the polls, a question about registration, a question about prior voting. Through the research of the staff and the evidence provided by the supervisor, they have determined that these voters were entitled to vote, were in the correct precinct, and then they compared each of the signatures and had determined they are the correct signatures. You can decide to look at them individually, or as we've done before, you can rely on the supervisor's testimony as to those facts and accept those provisional ballots wholesale. That's the first category of 190. It's up to you as to what you want to do. On the second category of did not sign provisional, under the statute 101-048, the provisional ballot must be signed. If it is unsigned, you can provide a cure affidavit. The time for providing any additional evidence in the cure affidavit expired. And of those 16, no cure affidavit was provided and they remained unsigned. They are illegal under Florida law. And so you may look at them or you may summarily reject them. For the 522 not registered, the signature issues are irrelevant because they're not registered, they're not eligible to vote. So under 101-048, you would not be entitled to accept those provisionals. You can look at all of those individually or reject them as a whole. For the registered after book closing, those 384, the same rule applies. They are not entitled to vote under Florida law. There's no evidence that have come in to be presented that says that they were properly registered beforehand. There's no cure affidavits that are available to them. So you can look at them individually or you can reject them as a whole. For the signature does not match, you will need to look at those individually and determine yourself whether or not you believe the signature does not match. For the 94 voted already, my recommendation to you would be to review those individually. And this is the issue for those. As we've previously discussed under 101-69, once you cast a vote by mail ballot, you're not entitled to vote a provisional ballot. However, the question is whether or not the voter has cast the vote by mail ballot. And so in looking at them, you can look at the signature on the vote by mail ballot and determine that the signature on the vote by mail ballot matches exactly, and therefore determine that that vote by mail ballot was cast by that individual, and therefore you'd reject the provisional. If, however, you find by the evidence of, for example, an unsigned ballot and testimony on the provisional ballot that the voter has submitted that said, I did not submit that provisional ballot, you can decide by the preponderance of the evidence standard for the negative whether or not you want to accept it. However, I would caution that before accepting that, you should wait to look and see during our canvass tomorrow for those ballots, whether or not a signature cure affidavit has come in for that unsigned ballot. If that signature cure affidavit has come in for that unsigned ballot, that is the way under the Florida statute that ballot should be cured. And so you would reject that provisional and accept the signature cure affidavit. If no signature cure affidavit has come in for that ballot for the provisional, I would then make the determination as to whether you believe that that voter voted that first ballot. If so, you would reject the provisional, whether or not that ballot was accepted. But if you make the determination that the voter did not vote that ballot based on the testimony on the provisional ballot, you'd reject it. So my recommendation would be to do a preliminary analysis today, reject those that are clear, those that are not clear, put aside, and then make that determination after you complete your process tomorrow with the cure affidavit.
I move to do so with the presumed invalid voted already.
Okay.
Do
The
I
last
hear a
one-
second? Hold on.
Yes.
On that issue. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, and the last category of wrong precinct, again, is not something that you can cure explicitly under 101048 and the AFL-CIO case versus Hood. We've discussed this. You are not entitled to cast a provisional ballot in the wrong precinct. Staff has researched it. There's been no evidence presented before 5 o'clock that would have cured this. And therefore you can look at it again independently, or you can decide to reject them as a whole.
Okay, I move to reject the wrong precinct votes.
And just for clarification, the wrong precinct votes then would be internally the staff that has looked through the Miami-Dade election records to see whether in fact they voted.
Right.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
All right, motion carries.
And those are my recommendations for those categories as to how to deal with it.
Okay. With the 384 registered after book closing, they're not entitled to vote after the book has closed.
They are not registered for this election. They're entitled to vote in other elections.
Correct.
But if you did not register by the 29th day prior to this election, you're not entitled to vote in this election, and those are not legal ballots cast.
All right, I move to reject them pursuant to Florida statute. Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Is it unanimous?
Just for, again, for clarification, and how are they checked for the registration? I mean, I'm sorry, for the,
After book closing.
after book closing.
So the deadline was October the 6th. So we log it into the voter registration system. When the voter shows up to vote in person and their ID is swiped, the check-in system is indicating that. But of course, they were given a provisional anyway. It came back here, and then we do additional research on our end in the system to verify that that was in fact the case.
And that was the case on all 384.
Yes.
In addition, Your Honor, those voters were given an opportunity until 5 o'clock today to come in and say, no, here's my voter registration, or here's evidence that I did it before the supervisor said I did it. None of those voters provided any evidence.
That'll be checked unanimous.
All right. Signature, so already voted, we will review. The wrong precinct, is that unanimous? With
Yeah,
the
we
motion?
already want that.
Okay, perfect.
And then not registered.
And then not registered is
At all.
unanimous. Yeah, not registered at all. Okay. All right, I move to reject all the ballots that are not registered voters.
And I'll second it.
I agree. Unanimous?
And how about the presumed valid?
The presumed
Did you want to
ballot.
vote to accept those, the 190? The
Yes,
staff has already done the research on those and
yes. I'll move
You're
to accept them.
Yeah, I second.
okay, agreed.
Okay, so we're accepting 190.
I mean, we could do not sign provisional either because you have to sign it. Unless you want to look
But
at
we
them one by
gotta
one.
wait for
either
the,
way.
yeah, let's
No,
just
no,
look
no,
at
this is not the ones where they haven't signed the vote by mail. This is the ones they haven't signed the provisional itself. So you're required to sign the provisional itself. So
Right.
that's not curable, and that's not a question of waiting for others. I'm
All
sorry.
right,
Irma?
it's 16 of them. Let's just look at them and make sure that they're not signed.
We did receive some ballot for affidavits for the provisionals.
Right, but not on these on the list, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's present all those.
So with that
For the
said,
did not sign? Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay, good.
so with that said, with the consent of the board, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two trays and move them over to the tab room so they can start slicing and putting them through. And I'm gonna have staff go ahead and stamp the not registered after book closing are the 4 trays over here to the right on top. And the ones that are not registered are 4 trays on the bottom, so I'll go ahead and have staff move it while Ema sits here and goes through the rest of the categories.
Remind you, the presumed ballot, the 190, they're entitled to vote. The signature matches.
They were in the right precinct, they were registered to vote in the right precinct,
All right.
and
Okay, we move to accept them.
The presumed invalid wrong precinct, which was the first one that you motioned.
Yep.
You are rejecting the
25.
25. So if I
Yes.
can remove those two and have
Yes.
them stamped? Okay, so Ema will go through the rest. Ema?
so, judges I'd like to make a motion to allow my staff to stamp these ballots and begin opening them in tabulation and stamp those rejected on our behalf due to the volume.
I'll second the motion.
Motion carries unanimous.
Okay, so Your Honor, you'll be looking at the 16 did not sign provisional and the cure affidavits therewith.
Yes.
You'll look at the 3 signature does not match.
Yes.
And the cure affidavits therewith, if any, and then you'll look individually at the 94 to make that determination as to whether that voter cast the initial ballot.
Yes, correct.
These are my presumed valid, which I'm gonna take to the tab room. So for you, if you would like, I'll let you roll that card here while I roll mine out. Hold on.
Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome. I'll have Ingrid sit on the other side so that we can keep the categories
Okay.
organized as the canvassing board goes through it. I don't think this card can go. Alrighty, look at that. Underneath here. Where's my, oh, no, it's my own. You want me to say how I organize it for you? Okay, let's go around the other side.
So Hila is the manager over registration. She is the expert in the voter registration system. And
Hila.
the reason
Hi.
why I think this is this your first time
Yeah,
actually
this is
presenting
right.
to the canvassing board?
Yeah.
So we'll be extra.
Thank you.
I make no problem.
Just one time and then, you know, just go back to the
Programming.
Okay. You want to organize yourself the next thing. Then we're gonna follow with signature does not match. Then we're gonna follow with wrong precinct. I'm sorry, they took that one. Sorry. Then we're gonna do already voted.
Yes.
Right.
So these are the order that we're gonna do. I'm gonna read you this. Ingrid, yes, I'm gonna sit over there with the minutes and you just organize it for her when it comes around. So give me the tray, you can pass them over here. So we have 3.
So what percentage during early voting? Did not complete sign, and then 2 of them presented the signature still. Okay, David.
All right. Every ID. Okay, so not have an ID. Yeah, not the picture. Girls here too.
So tier
No,
two,
no picture.
so tier two with no picture, you need to match the signature on the affidavit.
Government document.
This much, this one, and then the.
So signature on the affidavit.
Yeah, I can accept.
To the, I'm sorry, signature on the affidavit, to the signature on file.
Yeah, I can accept.
Okay. Do you want to keep all of the backup with it, or
Yeah.
should I separate the back? Keep together?
And Irma, to be clear, just for the record,
Email.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I said schema. To be clear for the record, those ballots you research and find them to have been otherwise valid except for the signature issue.
Exactly,
So once they match the signature issue, that's the last criteria and they're acceptable.
exactly.
Fair enough.
And it matches the. Yeah, I can accept.
Except. And then this is our last one, this one did not be sent. Yeah.
No affidavit,
On that one.
nothing given.
Nothing. I just start looking up, you know, so this is our last one. One, just give me, you know, just give me one first. One by one.
I move to reject this.
Okay. Agreed?
So Liz, out of 3, 2 were accepted, 1 was rejected. No, so isn't that the signature does not match?
No, that did not sign.
Oh, that did not sign, okay. It's the one thing I write on. I got it all.
Do you want another?
Yes, I want another one, yes.
Okay, so that's it for, didn't sign. That's
No,
the
no,
one.
we have more than, we have 16 of them. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I said the same thing. Signature doesn't match.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm looking at the next one. The signature. This is what we have
Yeah,
here.
but look at her signature.
Oh, this is the application, right. Yes. Okay. Like the little stuff.
Yes.
Okay, I can accept
Is
it.
it current? The license?
I can't tell. I think so.
Yes, we're still in this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's accept. There are not enough paper clips in this office.
Election day.
It's good, the signatures on that, the date of the election is good.
All right,
Okay, move to accept.
second.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
And these do not have. None of these? No. So we can.
This was accepted or rejected?
Accept. Wait, they don't have what? No, they did not provide the signature for application.
We didn't provide anything.
Did not sign the provision, so. Move to reject.
Second. None of those?
None of these.
Let me see
I'm sure we have the right one.
Reject.
Reject.
Second.
Second. So the company, they can.
Are you agree with how many were accepting versus rejecting? So you're now you're two. You got it?
Yeah, she has
Yeah. Which that was two. Yeah, two of which were accepted. Whatever happened.
Are you gonna need to read it?
First place.
So that takes care of the 16th?
Yes.
Okay. Signature does not match, we'll do those?
Yes.
All right.
We have three.
These, what did they provide?
One of them provided an application.
Remember to go on the application. Did they give a photo ID?
All right.
So then the signature doesn't have to match.
And current.
Tier 1 ID means you just need it to be signed. It does not have to match.
So move to accept.
Second.
Agree? Did not provide.
Nothing?
But we can still accept it if we believe the signature matches. It's just like a vote by mail. Like if my staff doesn't think it matches, they can refer it to us. We look at it for signature.
The same standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt applies to the signatures in that case.
That's why they separate.
Yeah. So it's only the signature. We can't look at the way they printed, like, for example, on the application, with the name on the application.
So you're looking at a comparison of the signature, but I believe the boardman gives you a little bit more leeway in the
Just like on the other one.
Yeah, just like the vote by mail, yeah.
I can accept. it.
Okay, so,
And we'll accept it. Yes. Yeah. All right, we'll move to accept. Some of them are
Some of the ones that are accepted are attached, right? I think they need to be open.
Yeah.
So that they can get it through the tab. Do you want to do that now?
it's up to you, you know,
You
you
want
can
to
organize
do that?
afterwards and then give them.
Okay, do you, yeah, whatever
Would you
best for
prefer?
you. Okay. well, yeah.
I know that she's very organized.
Okay.
voted already.
Voted already.
So the 190 and the ones that they just accepted.
So these are all mixed in, right? It could be early, it could be by mail.
And we hope it's nice. I can't tell you when they'll be reported, but they're being tapped now.
Same signature.
Receipts.
November 3rd.
Countywide. So you know that better than I. This ain't the countywide as far as I know.
Voted already.
Where's the first? Right here. Okay, so I moved to.
Yeah, he voted by mail. This is the mail.
Yeah,
ballot. The signature and the signature.
Yeah, it's the same one. So we have to.
So,
So those will be clear rejects. If you determine the first ballot was cast by that voter, Persian ballot is rejected. Whether or not the first ballot was accepted, doesn't matter as long as you determine it was cast by that voter.
Yeah. Same thing.
Huh? Come up for a second.
right, so we got not right.
Yeah, we already voted to reject this.
Come up.
Yeah, we've already authorized it.
Kind of like I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
As long as you're right.
What is this? This one's a straightforward one.
Looks like it's supposed to be the same.
Yeah, it is the signature.
Voted early.
But I had
Accept this, okay? Agreed?
The provisional. Same case.
So maybe. Yes.
This is the date that they came to. Yeah.
We're going on to findings of evidence that. So in favor of this Are you sure you want me to separate all the backup? So it's easier just to slice it. You don't need it married with the envelope.
No,
or do you?
no. So both of these working between counties. And Broward County did not accept this. Now
It's just kind of like the same thing we say about our voters. Like, listen, if they go to another county, let their canvassing board decide. This is like in reverse. Where, did we sign it? It is the signature. Yes. Move to accept. Which will give the same proof to the other
Someone in atención. Here, that little number 4 on that chart. Se me olvidó. I wonder, I was wondering, why the fuck you going?
We didn't, or Saturday about it. So then we gave a provisional, we didn't have a choice. And then when we do the research, we find out, yeah, actually, they were right. Okay, so I would accept that.
So this is the one that.
All right, I move to accept that. Yes.
And it's all remaining and the signature.
Same case. Maybe between counties.
Oh, maybe it's
Yeah,
the.
not in over in Broward or
Unanimous?
The white sign.
That's us.
That's right.
She signed.
This is the
To accept this one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, this was yes, right? Yeah. No, I was, yeah,
All
no, I
those
was
are
talking.
election day.
Oh, good, okay. And if you want those that that's what
Wait, they voted already?
Somebody went to the vote. Now, when we put that to the research.
It wasn't this vote though, that got. Because
That's it, so it was passed.
So we can't accept this anyway.
It's the same thing as us accepting a vote by mail ballot. That's what I was saying.
Now they're saying it's not the same person, this person is saying I did it.
So
Yeah.
if you determine that that voter's already voted, you will reject the provisional ballot. If you determine that the voter has not voted, you will accept the provisional ballot. The standard is preponderance of the evidence that it
Because this person wanted.
So it's because by mail. I move to accept it all right. Same signature.
Okay, let's accept it.
Overruled.
Yeah.
I just favored the voter. I don't know what the circumstances were, but
So when she got there, she was told she already had voted.
that one, that one.
Yeah, especially this little R right here and this little R right here.
Definitely.
So that was that. No, but look at over.
Okay, like this. I mean,
Yeah, but these two though, go down.
what are they saying, right?
Yeah.
This one, this
Yeah.
Well, either way, I'm overruled.
You're happy, huh?
They don't send people.
Can I remove them? I don't know if you have. No, I'm not. People in the category that you have.
Oh, because they have the same name.
Yeah.
Oh. Once in a while that happens with driver's license, like let's say they have the same date of birth, same name.
To accept it.
But I understand
Personality. That's the voter's record.
Voter did not vote and
I think actually it does look well, this is the first. So, here we
You're gonna be my lucky mascot.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
Father and son with the same name. Father voted with son's vote by mail ballot.
To accept it. This is this signature. Do they sign exactly the same?
This
Yeah, 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 I moved to accept it.
yeah.
this?
That is-
This. Could it be the same name with the
Never
number?
got a ballot. Early voting? This is a mail. That's a ballot.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah, well.
This is the same as this, yeah.
Except the provision.
No. This one. Yeah, I'm gonna accept the provisional.
Oh, did I get your headlight?
Yeah, no, no. Because that's okay, so that was.
No,
It's still voted on.
Hmm.
No, the break was at the same time, so there was like 25 people in line for the warehouse. And I didn't want to be like, Christine, want me to get ahead
It
of
was
you.
always
It was like
either-
psych.
So these were
What
rejected.
happens when you don't sleep for 30 days?
And now they provide the affidavit. So they will wait.
All right, so I think this is the one that we're gonna hold, right? If the voter did not
So
sign.
if you see an unsigned ballot and the provisional ballot says, I did not cast that ballot, I would hold off to wait to see if that individual submitted a cure affidavit. If they submitted a cure affidavit, it is appropriate to accept the cure affidavit if valid. If invalid, and the voter has told you he cast that ballot, so you reject both the cure affidavit and the provisional. If there's no cure affidavit submitted, you can credit, if you so choose, by the evidentiary standard, the voter's statement that they did not cast that unsigned ballot and accept the provisional. So those are the three
The
flavors.
original wasn't accepted anyways.
The original wasn't accepted, but they were sent a cure affidavit because it was unsigned. So if the
Okay.
voter claims that it says that's my ballot, then we should credit the cure affidavit in accordance with Florida law. If they don't, you can make the other
And that
decision.
way we make certain that they only vote once.
Right.
If they voted.
So we'll hold on.
All right, so any of these that don't have a signature, Ema, that the VDM did not have a signature, we're gonna hold over until tomorrow when we meet for the final time, with the cure affidavit.
So that if we accept the cure affidavit, we can just reject these provisions. If it's signed and you determine that the voter had signed that provisional, that vote by mail ballot, then you need to reject the provisional as already voted.
Yeah, I'm rejecting.
Because it's not an acceptance.
Yeah, it's identical.
Okay, so is that a reject? Okay.
This is the early one. I must.
The signature.
This is the early voting, so the precinct that they voted in person, but what I see is, I see this leak, and this, it's a 2 and a 2. And I'm not comfortable in accepting that ballot, so if you wanna go to tiebreak.
I would move to accept the provisional. All right, here's the paper.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is the early voting. This is the early voting. Early voting thing.
Yeah, I move to reject.
Move to reject the provisional.
So we are going to keep this. You accepted this?
Okay, so this is there.
Can we get it? I mean, we can pass this one out. So you guys can do it.
All right, let's hold off to this. We'll
Yes.
hold off on this one. Keep it.
The image of the whole thing out.
Are this the holdovers? I'll second here.
Well, no, we
Oh,
need an
okay.
image.
This was
Gotcha.
that they voted by mail. I don't have that image.
Oh, okay.
Can we pull it up here? You can pull it up here.
All right, but let's do these that we already have and hold this one over for now.
Yes, let me pass it to Nelson.
Okay.
So there's a BBM envelope, the doc images.
Voted by mail also.
Same. I move to reject that.
Reject them. Second.
That's it.
I can accept it. It's different.
I'm gonna accept the
Yes.
provisional.
All right, to close this one out, this is, oh,
It's the same exact situation.
yeah,
Yeah, I move to reject that.
I agree. These were both.
No, one was,
This one's accepted. Okay, this one you're good.
This one we're gonna hold off.
we're gonna hold on.
If you have more things together.
Wow.
Except it doesn't look like it's accepted.
I got it.
This person, she voted early, but
Yeah.
we don't have the early voting.
Okay.
The early
Can we
voting.
bring up the image on this one?
Is that also in doc images or somewhere else?
Under election staff, the EV,
Do you know where the ED certificate
what is
is?
it for? The EV certificate, the election staff.
Same signature.
Under the election staff? Yes, so you see where it says voted, this is early? Yeah. Does
The
it
one
say
below
yes?
it?
No, it has to be the
Look at
2020.
the
Does it say yes? up
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
No, no, but that's
Well, there should be an R.
is that the 2020 or
This is the R.
2018?
Yeah, 2020.
An R here.
Click on it.
I see this.
No.
I see this. I reject
One of the
this.
back.
Okay. So then click on the history details on the side.
Yeah, but look at the end. Look at the end. This is on file for them.
That's the same. Except this one, I reject it.
Everybody's gonna
After that,
have to do
something. This one. So I move to accept the provision.
You don't think these two look exactly the same?
No.
Alright, hi Bridget.
No.
That's my turkey.
Okay.
Look at the R's, no.
Oh, wait, this is what's on record though.
This is
No.
the original.
This is by mail.
Right.
So this is.
I think it's the same.
Yeah, makes sense.
So let's reject this one.
Okay, let me close this one out with you all before you go to the next one. So, signature on file, signature on the provisional. Accept this one.
Yeah. Reject the original.
Okay, accept, do you have to accept? Okay.
Reject the first one. Accept it.
We know, we got it.
Yes.
This is not signed. I need to hold over.
If the provisional is not signed, it's not cure, and it's no affidavit, you can't cure it, so you reject that today.
Is there a signature up at the top? Nothing at the top?
So it's probably come into this category because that was a defect before the signature verification, but if it's not signed, you would reject it for lack of signature anyways. So it's
Okay,
This is
right,
on
so
the
either
air.
way.
So either way, it's
Yeah, so
rejected.
either way, it has to be rejected.
It's a different name. This is Andrea. This is Bianca.
I understand, Judge, but if the office provisional ballot is unsigned, you cannot accept it no matter what the backup is.
So this week, we need to take off anyway.
We're
Should
trying
it
to
be
find
with
out
it?
if Bianca.
Submitted a cure affidavit?
Yeah.
Ask Ema if any other cure affidavits came in.
Are we holding over till tomorrow? for the
There's
cure affidavit?
cure affidavits has to come in by 5 o'clock. The cure affidavits are
Why don't we
tomorrow.
do
and
this?
by mail.
Let's put this in the holdover category just to double check, just to make sure.
Yes.
With that other name.
Noted that it's not signed.
But if they do the affidavit,
Well, it'll have to come in by 5 o'clock
Right.
today.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This was the first. I move to accept the provisional.
So it's just a special category that we hold because it's not signed.
Right.
That's a special category.
Special category.
What I'm holding over till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, this one really is kind of like I want to research.
The vote by mail.
Not signed. Vote by mail. By mail.
It's still, yeah, if we haven't seen it yet, we're gonna see those. And if the cure affidavit never comes back, then we just reject those.
So this says that he stated the staff didn't give him time to. And cast the ballot for Eating something.
Not accept.
I know. You sound
Got
like
it,
you
Laura.
voted.
Thank you for that legal advice.
But kudos to the poll worker for putting the specific details there. That were very helpful.
Or I'm sure.
They did them, I'm sure they were not very begrudging, like, believe.
All right, so the, oh. Wait, what? This is a different person. Malcolm, Malcolm. Fine, by herself.
Question now, Ema, did we accept this one? Because I think I need to take that into consideration too. It looks like it has a different name on it. It was accepted?
I'll accept this one. Yes.
Hold over.
Yep.
Injection, provisions.
Outside. Hold over.
Which section are you on?
But it's not signed. Already voted. We have nothing to consider.
Thank you.
So we need to reject it.
It's not signed at all.
Or we're
Put it
waiting
over
to see if
just
they
in
get
case.
enough favors by today.
This one, this BVM.
But already accepted?
Yeah.
I sent it to reject.
Okay, so then, yeah.
Not signed. All over.
Ten, right, Liz, tomorrow?
Home has 4 VMs. That's fine.
Hold over.
I'm gonna do those three, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get everything possible.
That's very true.
That's not.
Either way, it's not David, yeah, because it'll be a signature.
Hold over.
What does it say?
What am I now?
They are, it's the same.
Just to accept this one, let's research it.
That's pretty.
That's
Oh,
It's the same. Let's reject this one.
for this one. Signature on file, vote by mail signature, provisional.
I move to reject, that's the same thing.
I agree.
Unanimous. It's Luisa de Agi. To accept the
I
provision.
agree.
Unsigned one signature affidavit.
Assigned.
It's matched, signature affidavit, so they match, then number of. We'll have the reconciliation. So I would wait until they're done, so you know this little amount. Doesn't have any
Same.
effect.
I move to reject.
Let's reject.
Everything else is.
Holdovers.
No, holdovers are the ones that are blank. And so they're waiting to see if it's or not. But then you close on mail.
It's from did Brad accept?
Yeah. It's the same signature.
We voted by mail in Broward.
Can we find out? Okay, sure. You need a sticky so you can separate.
Did you want us to check on email? Move to reject the provision.
It was not.
This one wasn't accepted?
Okay, I moved to hold to the side.
But they didn't sign it,
Right.
right? Or not that I can.
No, they did not.
So that was the first order of rejection, like the other ones were the wrong. for the fact that they already submitted something as opposed to a rejected, even if it was a rejected ballot. It's when they still voted either way. But, yeah, just so that you-
I have orange right here.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Okay, that's okay.
Second. Yeah. She puts it in.
The last name is the same.
Same.
One, three, Jack.
And, second.
Same. One, three, Jack.
Second. See signature and body of envelope.
One, three, Jack.
The same. Second. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. I'm reading.
Misunderstood cause the blank ballot to be passed.
One, three, Jack. Same signature.
Yeah, the second.
One, three, Jack.
Second.
So there's more than one candidate on the ballot. I can see the signature from here.
Until today.
The registry. Quarterly registration.
So in other words, what I'm saying is there's no loop on top like this one. So the loop is only on the bottom. Loop is, you know what I'm saying? The loop is on the bottom. The loop is on the bottom here. So I would accept this one and reject the early. So this is accepted.
To reject.
Yeah, just a second.
Envelope image?
Let's accept.
Move to accept.
Move to reject. Is it acceptable? Move to reject.
That one, I know I. I'm gonna check to see. She wanted to check on them. There was information attached to it.
No, it wasn't. Let me see it again. We were gonna check to see. But we didn't have, do we have something that shows
It was
that
the
they
same
voted,
thing. Yeah,
whether
it was the
accepted or not?
Maybe we should do like timeline on these. Like,
This is the envelope?
because if they're not registered.
This is the envelope?
Yeah, that's
the
their
same.
envelope.
All right, I'm to reject.
I thought we did.
No, we had it.
Oh. And this is the same. Rejected.
Yeah.
St. Lucie County? We have, how do you know that,
Is it that the voter registration prompted you?
yes.
Lucy, accept that vote?
I'm not sure. Can we find out? Can I see the signature? And it's an absentee ballot in that other county.
Right, and so,
And the signature is exactly the same.
Signature matches.
so
Why don't we, can we maybe?
I reject. Feel free.
Yes, they-
Signature matches, they already voted, we have a copy
No,
that's,
no, this is from Miami.
this is not from Fort St. Lucie.
No. So we're talking about. And we don't have the image.
So we should contact St. Lucie and see if we can get an image from them.
Yes.
And if we can't, then you're gonna have to make a determination on that one.
So we'll hold this one off as well. And then can you do a note on it for image from the St. Lucie Farm?
Right.
First mail-in ballot was submitted, but I updated my voter address. First ballot didn't count. So I'm submitting this provisional,
If we've already submitted one,
and it was counted.
Yes,
Well, it wasn't, it was given credit, but that's what I'm calling up there.
they already received credit, they can only vote once.
Oh, you have it right? I'm looking for a baby.
been a long week.
I was looking for the baby. I see, you're alert. I appreciate it.
Same signature, move to reject.
Oh my God, what do they have in here?
3 pages. 3 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, move to reject.
Wrong ballot mailed to me.
Same signature, yeah.
Same signature.
Move to reject.
Second.
Same signature, move to reject.
Second.
Move to reject.
Second. Voter casted a blank ballot and changed her mind.
Move to reject.
Okay. Reject. Take it up. Voter by mistake walked to the DS 200 and submitted her ballot. Let's reject. Voter disputes that they have already voted. This is the same signature. That's same. Let's reject.
Same signature, move to reject.
Yeah. Reject.
Reject. Reject.
So we shouldn't then consider any of these until the signatures are the same and they cast ballots.
So if you determine they already voted, explanations like I want to change my mind, or I
No,
have.
no, I think,
What does that one say? That one seems to get out of here.
yeah, voter was being told by the attendant that the ballot was blank, but the voter clicked cast the ballot by mistake with it being blank. Before the attendant could, so,
Yeah, unfortunately, they can't correct the mistake once they pass the ballot.
yeah. Second. Yeah, that's it. Or cast the ballot. The thing. Move to adjourn. Yeah, rather than watch our, they actually cast the ballot. This one cast a blank ballot. It's the same thing. Second. Stand up on ballot. It's the same. It's pretty sure.
It gives you a message and a choice.
Voter mailed in the ballot to Palm Beach County that was rejected. SCHU is registered in Miami. So the first vote was not counted? No.
And they
Did
are
you
properly
register in
registered
Miami?
here.
Yes. Okay, so it's the same signature I need to accept.
So if the vote was cast in Palm Beach County, even if
It was rejected.
no, but if you attempted to vote by mail in Palm Beach County, 10169 says once you return to vote by mail ballot, and I'll read it verbatim.
Yeah.
10169 says an elector who has returned a voted vote by mail ballot to the supervisor, however, is deemed to have cast his or her ballot and is not entitled to vote another ballot or to have a provisional ballot counted by the canvassing board.
Okay. I'll move to adjourn.
To return.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're already.
So now we finish with
Yes. Okay. You're gonna have 3 numbers. Which 2 of the holdovers are actually for more research. Not really like. With double yellow stickies for you?
If there are any duplicate voter intensity.
Yeah, we've already followed that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Ones that, you know, it's like, for instance, I don't know if they're taxes or something, not, yeah, taxes that maybe were cured, that we're doing now.
Okay.
Or whatever we're doing now, and then take a break, because if any of these that are being tabulated today have a problem, we'll make some possibility of those too. Yeah.
I think some people ask for a reconciliation of that.
No problem.
We're on.
And one rejected from election day. There are that's right too. That's perfect. Good. Hello again.
One thing I
This one is like a- oh, so it's separate.
Yeah, as long as they have the calendar.
Yeah.
Any sense accepted, yeah, let's stamp them and give them a tap.
Good yourselves.
Very well.
Take a paint.
No, look, I'm even taking them out.
Uh-huh.
No, it's always a good sign.
Yeah, when there's no bid involved, it's like. So we can just hold them on. And
Those sides went out in the
Instead of the
rejector, except category set asides.
Okay, so this over here is a fax over C.
Sorry.
Ten,
10,
24,
24,
3.
we can hold it up.
Fourteen.
Oh, you can blow it up. Okay, on this one, you might have to look.
I have 218 seconds.
Over here, we can just see the number, but they voted.
Just look at the right side, so probably some.
Do we know what number corresponds to this one?
Right. And it's this page right.
203.
I have a different count on that one too, but that's okay.
204.
I just want to be able to tell them how many.
Status. This is all, this was clearly from applications that were, yeah. Okay, so that's it, you're caught up. So what remains? Sits out. For 190 and so I'm still gonna ask for an hour. 15 minutes.
All right.
Wait, can't do an hour?
No, we can't. We can do 55 minutes.
15 minutes is long for
50 minutes.
So let's do 8 o'clock. 7:15. We can just wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes, for right now, provisionally. We will be back at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Now, everything that we accept is gonna go into the machines, and if anything pops back, then we'll review it. Otherwise, there's nothing else to review. All right, so we will be back at 8 o'clock.
We will tonight. I'm not gonna commit to a time right now because, you know, they have to tabulate and then reconcile and then upload, but if, I'm happy to send you guys a message that that upload is complete. If you don't wanna hang around, I have no problem with that.
Approximately how many are being sent in addition to the 190?
I think they're doing that count right now. Yeah. And then, by the way, it would also be any vote by mail ballots that came in, not that they came in, but we've had them, but that the cure affidavits came in and were compliant and don't need to come to the board. So it would be this and those.
So this includes the cures that aren't going before you tomorrow? Yes. The cures that are not
In
going.
masks, I can't hear anything, and then the wall is.
The question was, it doesn't include the cure affidavits that are not going to be tomorrow because the staff is accepting.
Yes,
pursuant to the
yes,
Canvassing Board
that's
code.
exactly what it would be, right?
So it's this plus that.
Y'all are gonna address next week at the end,
Friday, tomorrow.
Judges, and very good.